If he loses, he'll be still stuck on 1 point. And currently it's an easy material count. It's a rook for a knight in Magnus's favor. And I just want to quickly take us back a few moves as Magnus ponders what to do next to this moment with the white knights jumping and the black queen currently holding everything together. But stepping back, walked into a beautiful sacrifice by Magnus Carlsen, a check, giving away the white knight, and after a capture, there was a rook trade and a knight fork at the very end. Once the dust settles, the queen moves, we see that the black knight is hanging, and Magnus, this is how he won a rook for knight. If we catch up with the current position, yeah, we're still in that scenario, and the white queen pinning the knight, that should decide things.
Fantastic tactics there by Magnus Carlsen. But right now, there's a threat that Wesley's setting up, right? He wants to slide the queen all over to the king side and start putting pressure on the g3 pawn. Magnus has to figure out, does he have enough time to activate his rook? He says, yes, he does. He doesn't care about what's happening on the right side of the board. But is that pragmatic by him, or is he allowing Wesley some counterplay? Because I would be looking at that queen swooping in towards the white king.
Yeah, Magnus, he's a brave player at the best of times. Occasionally he's a bit fast and loose with his king, but I guess the white bishop can step back and defend everything on this king side. It's all covered for now, and just the fact that the black knight is pinned means that only the black queen will be attacking. I agree with you, Tanya. It doesn't look super straightforward, but it should be winning.
You know, we often talk about how Magnus's colleagues, especially his own generation, and he seems to have this big effect on them psychologically. It's like he lives rent-free in their head. And I think Wesley is one of the players who struggles with that. We've seen that in their matchups sort of play out so many times. Would you agree with that, David?
Yes. There was a time, again, it was 2019 with the kind of Fischer random match that they had when Wesley just dominated Magnus. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, and 2021, they had all these online matches. Wesley was kind of holding his own, beat Magnus in a few matches there. But yeah, ever since, and actually even before that, it feels like Wesley just shows too much respect to Magnus, and tries to make draws. He plays a bit submissively, and it hasn't quite worked out.
All right, so Wesley pulls the trigger on the move you were talking about there, though, Tanya. Looking for that counterplay as his only out.
It's coming in, the queen's in. Not just that, with the pawn pin, the bishop is also eyeing the h-pawn because it can be picked up on the next move. How dangerous is that? You've got to watch out because the white rook is ready to come in, but it feels as if Magnus has unnecessarily allowed Wesley some hope in the position, some breathing space, some ideas. Perhaps needs to be a little more accurate now.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, ever since we joined it, we knew white was winning. We showed this cool tactic that bagged him some material earlier, but Magnus seems to be going astray. He wants to use the white rook to come up this way, but it's going to be really slow, and there's going to be some checks in the process. I also don't understand why Magnus is hesitating. That's the only way to defend the pawn in front of his king, by dropping his bishop back. And maybe he's calculating what happens after that bishop takes pawn sequence that you mentioned there, Tanya. But either way, the time advantage dwindling as well. Could we see a turnaround, a miracle by Wesley So?
Well, and we're seeing that become the reality on a lot of the boards. You know, the time advantage that once existed for a lot of the players with white has begun to shrink, while a number of them still hold a small one. It's no longer 5 minutes, right? So we'll start to see a number of those games get to a bit more equal decision-making situations, scary decision-making situations.
Yeah, okay, he's still thinking. In the meantime, we do have a couple of results to update people on.
Yeah, Hans Niemann taking that victory over Linier Dominguez, I think as expected based on the position where we last left it. And then Levon Aronian continuing his pattern of games, winning on the black side, losing on the white side. He'll take down Bibisara in his game to move up to 3 points out of 5. So it still keeps himself well within contention, but might want to find a little bit more consistency in our final couple rounds. Those are the only 2 results as of yet. I will mention, though, that Vidit continues to look good in what needs to be a big game for him up against Sam Sevian.
All right, but this is really confusing what's happening. I mean, it's really the only way to defend that pawn. He gives a check, and it turns out to be a mistake. Magnus taking so much time on the clock, only to walk into this idea that doesn't work. He pins that knight on f7, and now Wesley. Can he take the pawn on g3, or can he give checks on the light squares to that white king? These are the 2 lines that he's looking at.
Magnus has blown it. Magnus is not winning. Like, Wesley can force a draw immediately with a queen check here and a repetition. But like you say, Tanya, the kind of acid test of this whole sequence is to take this pawn with a check.
I think one of the problems there And he's going to go for it. But I was going to say, one of the things that would be kind of sitting in the back of my mind if I'm in Wesley So's position is, even if I were to get a draw out of this situation, that basically ends my hopes of an upper bracket quarterfinal, because I'm only sitting on 1 point. So do I try and fight against all odds to turn this into a winnable game, or do I just try and get away with that one draw and maybe I can get a tiebreaker near the end of the day?
Yeah, the problem is his hand might be forced. The Black Knight is about to drop off, so he might be, might feel compelled to continue giving checks now with the Black Queen. This game would just be over, but no, he goes for it. Wesley So.
He throws it away.
He throws it away. Now there's no more perpetual check. You can give checks from behind, but the White King is going to walk away from the danger.
And there was absolutely no need for him to do that. He could have just continued with the idea of the Queen checking the White King endlessly, instead of giving this opportunity for him to just run away to safety. And now he realizes, but it's too soon, too late for Wesley even. With no way to defend that knight on f7, he has to rely on checks. But he's going to run out of them once the king gets to that dark square at the center of the board.
And the White King is actually going to walk the whole way around its own bishop, use the bishop as a shield, and maybe even walk around up the board. The Black Queen is fighting a battle on her own. That's the big problem. And I'm just surprised. Wesley, he wasn't really playing for a win with this sequence. He was still playing for the perpetual check, playing for the draw. And he could have done it in an immediate way.
But this is what I was talking about. Somehow the Magnus effect just gets magnified when he's up against Wesley. Seen him do this so many times, in better position, kind of bail out too soon. And then in positions when you feel like he's got everything under control, these slips that happen, Wesley gives the check. He moves now the bishop out of the way so the queen can at least defend the knight. But the e5 pawn is hanging as well that Magnus can snap up with a knight on f7 pinned.
Yeah, that's a free pawn. You've got to be accurate as Magnus Carlsen, because the Black Queen is actually threatening to give checkmate on the next move if she steps one square back. But here you do have the luxury of time. You can take this pawn. You can maybe trade some queens, do some stuff along the way. Okay, it's not as over as I thought it was. I must admit I missed this move. Bishop takes pawn with the check. But I think the difficult stuff comes later when the Black King moves. The White Queen apparently has to retreat the whole way
defend
back.
that square.
Oh, nice.
The
Beautiful.
checkmate square. Okay.
It's not 100% obvious for Magnus Carlsen, who's down to under 30 seconds now.
Not an easy find. To see that square, you need full board awareness. Retreating moves are the hardest in chess. Will Magnus find it?
Ooh, what do we predict?
But also, David, if not, process of elimination. I mean, that checkmate in one needs to be fought against. He's reaching for the pawn. He takes it with the bishop.
Ooh.
And look at that. Did you see the reaction? Magnus, did he miss this move? Did he miss the king sliding up?
I think he's miscalculated something. Only one move for Magnus not to lose now. Magnus needs to run away with his king, admit that he's just blown his advantage. He needs to move his king. Oh, no. It's
Whoa.
checkmate.
Checkmate on the...
It's checkmate in a few moves. It's a queen check. It's another queen check.
Yeah, he defended the square for this move, but...
Oh my gosh.
But once the Black Queen gives a check, the White King will be forced to step across, and then you can use this square.
Exactly.
And Magnus had no time to think of anything else. And Wesley's got 50 seconds to figure this out.
It's mate in 4. Magnus has blown it.
That's step 1. 3 more moves to go. And Wesley will get the win. What a turnaround.
Let's see the realization on Magnus's face. He's laughing about it as he offers his hand in resignation. It would be a checkmate in 2 from this point.
That's stunning. A couple gifts given away today by Magnus, and one of them goes to Wesley So in this round. From 1 point to 2, he goes here in Vegas. I said it at the top of the day, this city might have some magic in it for him, and I think that magic just paid off for Wesley So.
That laughter was not one of pleasure at all.
No.